interesting day today, Chewy. It's still Waitangi Day. There's still fallout from Waitangi Day. Luxon seems to have made movements towards dropping that word intention. But I phoned up our old mate, Martyn Bradbury, Bomber, this afternoon and had a chat with him about something else. And I suggested that it looks like, I nearly said John Key. It looks like Luxon's finally kind of made the leap and he's going to now state it more equivocally. Is that the right way to say that word? And Bomber had some interesting thoughts about that. So I just said, stop talking. Why don't you just come on board tonight and you're going to...
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, keep it quiet. So let's bring Bomber on. Kia ora, sir.
Kia ora, comrades.
Doing well?
Hey,
It's kind of it's a surreal situation where I think we've got a government that a lot of us warned about in how far right and hard right they were going to go.
Yeah.
And I think most of our fears have been borne out. Who had get involved in an American war in the first 100 days on their bingo card? Didn't see it coming, kids. Didn't see it coming.
Yeah, no, that's a rough one. Now, listen, what we'll do is the three of us, let's all watch a bit of telly together because I want to play some of the conversations that Mr. Luxon put out this morning. And then we're going to talk about, because we'll play it first of all. We won't get into the weeds yet. Let's play it first of all. So it feels like we've been saying this for a long time. That word intention has been very, very problematic to me. Because like someone said on my Twitter feed very cleverly today, Luxon had no intention to work with Winston Peters, 12 months before the election. But of course, intentions change. So we've been very clear, like saying you're not being clear enough. This is not clear enough for us. It seems today he's changed his language to be more clear. Let's have a look at this clip. This is just a short 20-second clip from breakfast this morning, so everyone can hear it if you haven't heard it already.
Yeah, we are. I mean, we've been very clear with our position, which is, we're in an MMP environment. We've got an ACT party that was a bottom line for them in terms of wanting to take it to referendum. The National Party position. We don't want to support a referendum at all. We've come to a compromise. This will enable an aeration of those views in a select committee process, and there's no support beyond that.
So there's no support beyond that. Chewy, back me up here. That is clearer, but we still haven't answered the question, what if they say, let's make this a conscience vote? No journalist has asked that question yet. And so now it feels to me, although there is some news tonight involving Mr. Seymour, which scares the shit out of me to do this, we'll play that as well. But at least we can now say he's being clearer, and now it's going to come down to, do people trust him? Because he's not using intention anymore, but is he trustworthy enough to stick by it? So that's us. Chewy, I'll give Chewy the first word, Bomber, because that's sort of where we're at. We've been saying stop using intention, and he's stopped using it. So that's where we are today, Chewy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I'm trying to find the quote, but it escapes me at the moment. But I did see him say, as the leader of the National Party.
Yep, I've got that somewhere as well.
The Prime Minister, we will not support this. And I think that's a lot more definitive. And I think that is proof that internet bullying works. We have been internet bullying him for weeks now. He got bullied at Waitangi, and I assume taken into a room, the door was locked, and all of his advisors bullied him. So here we are. I think it's a good thing. I think it's taken him a painfully long time to get there. A painfully long time. And the only thing that has come out of it is that he's sort of gone, well, if I didn't agree to potentially setting off a race war, we'd have to have another election, which is weak as fuck.
Seymour was asked in one of his interviews, did you ever threaten to withhold your support if you didn't get it? And he said something like, no, we were never that explicit. I'm paraphrasing, but it sounded like he was saying we didn't have to say that, but maybe. Yeah. Now, Bomber, I can see you there winding up to get up, but I want to do one more little clip just to set the stage for what he's been saying today. Okay. So this again today was on AM show this morning with Lloyd talking about National will not be voting for a referendum.
You're the Prime Minister. You're in charge of both of them. Why couldn't you talk? Why couldn't you just stand up and just say, I'm not going to vote for the Treaty Principles Bill from the ACT Party? It was part of our coalition agreement. Boom. There's your reassurance with that. And one, you could also have talked about Te Reo Māori. Yes, we're renaming some of the public sector, but we're not anti-Te Reo Māori. Why couldn't you give them those reassurances? Because that's what they wanted.
Well, that's what I have spoken about. We've spoken extensively about the Treaty Principles Bill. How did we get here? Why are we here? The reason
But
is very
you didn't in your
simple,
speech yesterday. Nowhere in here does it, I've got your speech here, nowhere in here does it talk about the Treaty Principles Bill. And I know that you guys will support it to the first reading, and then you're gonna not support it after that. It's going to die, and it's going to be. It's turning into a big distraction. The people who turned up there to hear you and your vision, and yes, it's a good vision for New Zealand. I quite liked it, to be honest, but they wanted some reassurance from you that we weren't going to strip the treaty.
Encourage others to listen to it then, Lloyd. It'd be great.
Well, they might be a little bit frustrated as well when we're like, okay, we want to hear from him that he's not gutting the treaty. He is actually going to honour the treaty, because the only reference that you've got in here, you talk about the treaty is our past, present and future. That's kind of as much as it got. And people wanted some reassurances that you are going to honour the treaty.
Well, I talk quite a lot about the treaty, actually, in terms of the arc of the treaty and what it has meant to New Zealand and its history from 1840 to today, with a view of then reaching out to where we want to go for 1840. But let me deal with the Treaty Principles Bill. I've spoken extensively about it in the weeks preceding Waitangi. I've spoken extensively about it with the iwi leaders that I've been meeting with now for over 6 months. And the reality is this, we as a national party have the Treaty of Waitangi as a foundational element of our constitution. We do not support going to a referendum. For the ACT Party, that was a bottom line in their negotiation. We took a lot. It was one of the major sticking points in the negotiation. We came to a compromise. That's the reality of an MMP environment. And what we agreed to is we'll support it to first reading, but not beyond that. So we're consistent on that principle. That's been well articulated, well understood. What I wanted to talk to was about the arc of our history of New Zealand and where we're getting to and where we're trying to get to in 2040. So, I hear you on the Treaty Principles Bill. There's some tension around that, but I can tell you in my meetings with iwi leaders up and down this country, yes, that's raised, but more importantly, what is raised is how do we work together, how do we deal with housing outcomes for Māori, how do we deal with health outcomes, education outcomes.
So there you go. Again, this morning, and the quote that I took out of that was, "We're not going to support it. It's not going to get us support. It's going to not be on that." So he's being clearer now, at least. Now, when I talked to Marty this afternoon, you had a slightly different take on it, Martyn. So, and I think actually what you told me this afternoon has been reflected in 3 News tonight with something David Seymour said. But let's give you a crack at it now, and me and Chewy will sit back and watch the flames, and then we'll play some more audio video. Off you go, yeah.
I think what we're seeing here is a panicked and frightened National Party. I don't think that they really understood the cultural backlash they were buying into with their Faustian pact with ACT and New Zealand First. You saw a Luxon who was frightened, taken aback. He put the most meaningless nothingness speech together. And the most meaningless nothingness speech was the one that he gave last year. So he repeated a lot of that. Yeah. He talked about wanting to look into the future to 2040 like some sort of oracle, which is neat and fantastic. And we all want to talk about what's going to happen in 16 years. But I also think we're probably a little bit more focused on all of the trauma that he has allowed to occur right now. All of this double talk that he is putting out saying, I have stamped my foot down. I'm not going to do this. We're not going to take it to a referendum. Okay, that's fine. What if for the first reading, David just dumps the referendum idea and just makes it a conscience vote? That's a completely different bill. Now, and Luxon could hand on heart say, well, it's a different bill. We're looking at something different now.
National's not supporting it, but National MPs may.
Right. Now here's where the rubber really hits the road, I think, for me. You have a conga line of transnational mining interests who are wanting to get into New Zealand and mine conservation land. They believe that there is a ton of rare minerals down there, and Shane Jones, by God, is going to go find them. And if you look at the new regulations that they want to put in to allow conservation land to be mined, and the fast-tracking power they're giving Shane Jones to green light that. When you take that in totality, you then understand why they're so keen on knocking the principles, the treaty principles, out of legislation. Because once you do that, you don't have an obligation to work with Māori. Right now, a lot of Māori are not going to give up or agree to conservation land being mined, right? But if you get rid of the principles, you don't have to negotiate with them in the first place. Yeah. This is all interconnected in terms of a superstructure of capitalism, which they are all focused on screwing around with right now, because their money, their eyes are on allowing transnational mining industries and interests into this country, because they think that's their gold mine. And that's what they're playing for. That's what they're pushing for. To give Shane Jones, of all people, power of just being able to put something straight through because he thinks it's a great idea is a recipe for disaster. So when Luxon says we're not going to go along with the referendum bill, that can mean a dozen different things. Why would you allow us to spastically dance on the lip of a volcano under the understanding, oh, we'll pull it back? Don't you worry, guys. We'll pull it all back and we'll put it to bed and we'll get on with everyone having a 10% increase in their housing price. That's what Luxon's trying to sell. But it's a panic, because he is being ripped to pieces on both sides by two politicians who are far better than he is. Yeah. Winston Peters and David Seymour are probably the biggest players in Parliament, and Luxon is so incredibly weak. Every single week so far, David Seymour and Winston Peters have managed to overshine the Prime Minister. That's not a good deal. That is not a good deal. And so when he tells us, oh, we're not going to let this hit, it's meaningless nonsense. He's not calling the shots. He's not calling the shots. Winston's calling the shots, and David's calling the shots. Luxon isn't.
Hey, I don't want to freak you out even more and make you guys angrier, but you mentioned conscience vote there, Marty, and we've been talking about that for 6 months. One, and I've actually finally got so sick of it that I've been tweeting directly at reporters who have access. Fucking ask him, Jack Tame, ask him, whoever it is, and no one's asked him yet.
And it's fine, but it's finally been asked tonight, hasn't it?
No, not really, because I think the response on TV3 isn't even about a conscience vote. I think the response that he gives on TV3 just basically says we could just take it to the House. This is frightening. Have a listen to this.
You are ruling out supporting this bill beyond select committee process.
I can tell you that the National Party position, and leader of the National Party now, not as Prime Minister, is that we will not be supporting that bill.
Look, it's will he or won't he. He's used different language at different times, but my bet is that when it comes up for a second vote, which it's maybe a year away from now, what will decide it will be what the public want, and no one knows that at this point because it hasn't been written, hasn't been debated.
Seymour's election proposal was to rewrite the principles, pass the bill through Parliament and essentially have it ratified by public referendum at the next election.
Do you promise that there will be a referendum at the end of the treaty principle?
Huge question, yeah? Like, this is what we've been told. We're fighting about this referendum. And she's asking him straight up, there is actually, if this goes through, there will actually be a referendum. And what does he say? It's terrifying. You ready for it?
At the end of the treaty principles bill, if that bill is successful.
No, it's quite possible that the legislation will pass and the job will be done. Parliament has finally spoken.
You could fundamentally change the constitutional arrangement of our country, basically, with 8% of the vote.
No, that's not accurate. We can make a proposal that the majority of New Zealanders could choose to adopt.
Potentially, though, without a public vote.
Well, they would have to support a parliament that voted for the law to go through, and they have elected that parliament.
The parliament that they elected said that they wouldn't support it.
And as I say, they may well change their mind.
So, Marty, I mean, I don't want to poo-poo the idea of a conscience vote. He's not even talking about a conscience vote. He's saying that, well, Parliament could... He's basically saying, we've been put here with a mandate to do this. Maybe we'll just do it.
That's right. That's right. And that's why Luxon's assurances mean nothing. They mean nothing. They mean nothing. He could absolutely not agree to take it on to a referendum, but they could have already made that decision, and they're just going to do it through Parliament.
Yeah. So what we're getting is we're getting Luxon being clearer, saying we will not support this now. But what we're not getting is, could it be a conscience vote? And look, I don't want to become the conspiracy theorist, right? I've been saying all the way.
This is not a conspiracy.
No. You're right.
You have these transnational mining interests lining up now. This is happening. This is happening, guys. This is happening.
So he could then come out and it could be a conscience vote, then quote, National's not supporting it, or it could get passed through Parliament, then we haven't supported a referendum because there wasn't one. So we ain't out of the woods yet, folks. Yes, he's being more clear, he is using more clear language, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's all over.
No, that's right. And if you look at how serious David Seymour is about this, I mean, it is absolutely possible that there is a quid pro quo arrangement between ACT and New Zealand First. If New Zealand First gives ACT support on this, then ACT will give New Zealand First support on reforming the Waitangi Tribunal, which is a big issue for New Zealand First, right? So there's plenty of horse trading that can happen between now and when this gets decided in a year's time.
Yeah, because Luxon is now also in the position, and Chewy, you've been very good with this going, the problem that they were trying to solve before the election was forming a government. That's the only problem they were trying to solve. Chewy's quote, I'm just rephrasing, I'm not taking credit for that, Chewy. It's been very, very clear. But now he faces the problem of how do I keep a governing government? So even though they've made the coalition agreements, if at any stage, like Seymour says, yeah, I'm out, or Peter says, I'm out, then it's done. So even though they've signed documents, even though they've got a coalition, Luxon is basically technically still in exactly the same place he was when he was sitting in that hotel trying to get this over the line. Chewy, you've said nothing yet, mate. You should jump in.
Look, Bon was mentioning the mining companies and that. No, I was watching a little clip or an interview, Q&A interview, I think, with famously fucking useless West Coast MP Maureen Pugh. And I got to mention it. Struck by lightning 3 times. When do you learn? When do you learn the lesson?
God will take her. God, the 4th time, God, you'll get her then.
But fantastically, they mentioned the challenges of the West Coast and how the West Coast has turned their back on the Labor Party. And they framed it as it's all about mining. And then they mentioned this little factoid. Mining, which in the scale of the economy of the West Coast is 3rd behind agriculture and tourism. Now, I don't know, man. Have you ever jumped on a plane, flown for 36 hours to see an open cast mine in a forest? And it's just like, oh, they're going to make all of these changes because of their 3rd highest industry. It's mad. But everything is like, oh, we're going to mine the beaches. We want to nibble away at public land. And I just have a real problem with like, oh, public land. Who's that going to? A private company. Okay, fantastic. No. So I think you're right. There's a lot of people wanting to exploit mineral rights and they're all knocking on the door. And famously, we've done a terrible job of sort of going, oh, okay, that's going to be good for the economy. And these guys are definitely going to pay us enough royalties for the irreparable damage that we're doing. And there was this great interview with a gold miner. And I just wanted to go, mate, they've just found billions and billions of dollars worth of gold in Otago that isn't in a forest. So you should move. You should move or open up a forest walk for a donation or something. It's just this idea of the past. And that goes for oil and gas exploration. Like they want to open up like testing for it, but there's not enough timeline for them to exploit it. And again, every time we've done it, we get minimal royalties and just hold it up as a big success. It's just crazy.
Marty?
Yeah, if you're going to exploit the mineral wealth of your country, then you want to ensure that mineral wealth goes to the people. That never happens here. It's always basic low product stuff. They want to exploit as much as they can. And the problem with the deep sea oil is that in New Zealand, it's so bloody deep. It's much easier to do fracking in Canada or much cheaper to do fracking in America. I mean, the level of oil has got to have run down to such a bloody level that you're talking $200 a barrel before it starts becoming profitable, right? Because it's so bloody deep and dangerous, this part of the world. So even if we would actually start making royalties, it would be in a position where things have become so dystopian with the oil supply chain lines that they're actually coming to bloody New Zealand to drill for it. That's a Hunger Games section of global, like a lot of shit will have gone bad and wrong before they are drilling off the coast of New Zealand, right? A lot of shit. So it just ain't going to happen. So the only game in town is this minerals and mining, and you can just see the fact that they're trying to ram all of this stuff through under urgency, that they're in the first 100 days, no less, to give Shane Jones the power to just sign off on the back of a bloody envelope any crazy deal that pops into his lunch menu, right? While he's out there eating all the bloody crayfish, and someone's, what about this shit? He's like, great, mate. That's how you run banana republics, right? That ain't how you're supposed to run a democracy. And I just think the conga line of privatization that's lining up, and it's the only agenda these guys have got. I mean, one of the things that's been so telling about the tobacco lobbyists, National had no plan. It literally was just talking points from the lobbyists. There's no actual National Party policy. And I think you're starting to see this across a whole board of things. They're ripping down all the legislation that Labor passed, and they said, don't you worry, we're coming back with something really amazing. Well, no, you're not coming back with anything really amazing. It just looks like lobbyist talking points fleshed out to look like a policy. And I think that we're going to see a lot of that around about a whole range of industries as they desperately try to get the economy to move. But I don't think any of this is going to bloody help. And I think when New Zealanders realise how much they're looking to mine, I mean, they're talking about conservation land. It's no secret now. That's where they're going to go mine. And I just think when New Zealanders really understand the enormity of that, the backlash will get even more immense. So you'll have an environmental backlash, you'll have a Māori backlash, you'll have a renters backlash, you'll have a workers backlash. And this is where they start making enemies very quickly. Yeah. And let's not forget the cost of living is still burning so many New Zealanders out there, and they're not coming up with any solutions.
Oh no, they solved that, didn't they? And the 100, it was a priority. I heard. I blacked out after Luxon said it was a priority the 15th time, and I'm sure it's buried somewhere in all of the anti-Māori policies that they actually had in the 100 days. But yeah, it's solved. It's solved.
I was at the supermarket today getting some mints to make some food for tonight. Kilo of mints, $27.
Yeah.
You went to the wrong supermarket. You needed to go out to South Dunedin to the Countdown that's infested with rats. They've got some great deals. They've got some price to clear.
Hey, I want to. This is almost taking a step away or a bit backwards from what we're talking about, because a lot of the things we've talked about, especially Chewy, is how Luxon's not very good at this. Right? He's not very good at this, and he doesn't have good. What's the word? He doesn't have good, like, the ability to see what he should be doing, to read the room, sort of thing as well. This morning,
really tone deaf.
Yeah, this morning on breakfast as well. You know, we give Jenna Lynch a bit of stick every now and again, but she, along with many other in the media today, made some very good points about Mr. Luxon missing the moment where he could have made a massive difference to himself, to his position, and to the controversy swirling around him when he was at Waitangi, and he could have said from the podium, guys, we're not voting for it. And he didn't do it. He couldn't read the room. And so I just want to play this, give Jenna her credit where credit's due. She's not the only one who said it today, but it's important to just point out again what a idiot this guy is.
He could have said that on the treaty grounds. He could have saved that message, and it would have been a real moment for him, addressing the concerns that Māori have been raising. The other thing that he said to you was a little bit of an explanation of why we ended up here in the first place. I mean, everyone kind of was reading between the lines, and obviously the ACT Party went into negotiations with this as a bottom line. But again, he hasn't really clearly laid out that path thus.
That's something else. I'm not to cut her off. He's been saying all day today, we've been very clear about this for a long time. It's like, you haven't.
He never
has been. If the audience isn't clear, that means you haven't been clear.
He's let everyone kind of do the reading into it for him. But today he said the ACT Party had it as a bottom line. It was a major sticking point in negotiations, and that was what they had to do to get a government across the line.
I mean, that's absolutely true. He did leave the door a little bit ajar with that Treaty Principles Bill, and then this morning he kind of slammed it and was like, nah. And you're right, it could have been an incredible moment for him if he'd done that up in Waitangi.
Yeah, could have been an incredible moment if he'd done that up at Waitangi, but he didn't read the room. He didn't have the initiative. He hasn't got the nous. I think, Bomber, what you're saying about who's really, like, I don't know if it's come out. It'd be pretty easy if it hasn't yet to do it for a cartoonist to have both Seymour and Peters above him with the puppet strings and have Luxon down the bottom just doing that, because that's kind of how it feels. He does everything on reflection, and we weren't going to talk about this in this thing. I've got some more clips to play later, Chewy, about the carbon copy speech. Like, he's thought about an excuse today, which is horse shit, because if that was truth, he would have said it yesterday when he was asked about it. He thinks about everything in the rear vision mirror. I guess it's exactly what they've been doing the whole time, Chewy, about looking backwards as to when this country used to be great. His politics and the way he works is in the rear vision mirror. He doesn't know what to say in the moment. He goes to the 9th floor and gets advice. He then speaks very clearly the next day on what he meant, which is a losing strategy, Marty.
Look, I think what we saw with him suddenly turning the story of, didn't you just repeat the same bloody story? And him, I meant to do that. I was doubling down because we're doing the same and we're holding this and this. If any of that was true, exactly as you said, if any of that was true, then he would have actually used it as a point during the actual speech. That's not true. He didn't. Or
when the journalist asked yesterday. Why
that's right. But they were caught out.
Yeah.
But what I think has happened is the National Party hierarchy have freaked out so much about how shit Luxon is that they've actually sent him. This is me. This is what I think. I think they've sent him on a 48-hour CEO boot camp to be more assertive, right? And I think that what you saw him playing out was a private boy alpha jock move, right? He doubles down. He's like, because all he's trying to do is sell the authority. I think everyone's been terrified and taken aback by how weak he is with Winston and David. And so he's got this new strategy of doubling down and looking dynamic, and I call it my way. It's all garbage. It's all basic 101 CEO mind talk. And it's all sort of trying to make it look like he's got more power than he actually really does. He's got very little power and just lying to our faces about, bro, I meant to do that, bro. And you're just like, oh, come on. This is garbage. You're lying to our faces and you expect us to believe it. I mean, this is just such basic stuff. And I don't think because I think the right is still trying to get the right narrative about him. Remember, at first it was, isn't he so great because he's not a politician, and that's why he keeps getting things wrong and has to come back and tell us in 24 hours what he really meant. So at first it was, he's not a politician, that's so great. Then he's the great deal maker. He's going to cut a deal, it's so good. He's the best because he's such a great deal maker. And then the deal maker comes out and I go, oh my God, this is shit. National's been screwed over by Winston and Seymour. So now it's, but he's moderate. It's a moderate government, and and yet they've passed legislation for 8,000 tax cuts, for 8,000 deaths for tobacco tax cuts. The first thing they pushed through was attacking workers. Then it was attacking renters. Then it's taking environment money. This is not moderate. They've got us into a war with America in the first 100 days. This isn't moderate. They're attacking Māori left, right, and centre, and then sort of go, but we're not going to go through with it, We're going to light the cross, right? Here we're going to light the cross. But then, some people in white, hoods are going to gather. But then once the cross is burning, and everyone's like, but then we'll pull it back. Then we'll pull it back from the brink. And you're going, this isn't moderate. This is crazy. And now the latest story, they're trying to get the spin on him. He's the great Svengali. He's a chess master. He's playing out, and he's playing David out, and he's just such a genius. The reality is he's incredibly weak. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, and he's getting screwed over by the two best players in the game. That's the reality, and we don't know how to frame that.
Yeah, you say they're talking about him playing chess. I think maybe last card, maybe Snap. Snap's probably about the level of expertise he's at the moment. Hey, when's the podcast come back?
We've been such lazy pricks. We just love being able to. You want to come back here? Still on the beach, man. Still on the beach. But a lot of people have said, "You two lazy buggers, get back to it. We want to see the show back." So I think we're coming back in about a fortnight's time. I think a fortnight's time.
Tuesday night still? Same
Oh,
back
yeah.
Very good. All right. Hey, dude, thanks for coming on board. Always love having you
Always
here.
a pleasure, gentlemen. You're doing God's work and you're providing the space to actually challenge what's going on. And I think places like this are going to become so vital in opposition to this government, because what these buggers want to do is take us to a place that isn't New Zealand, that isn't the New Zealand I want to be part of. And it just cements into place a 19th century white settler privilege that has no place in the 21st century. And places like this, and news places and spaces like this, are going to become more important than ever.
No pressure. No pressure.
Respect, brother. Respect.
All right, Bomber. Cheers, brother.
Cheers, matey.
Be well.
See you next time.